Good evening, everybody. I have a question concerning spying. And there was recently detected a spy hive, Russian spy hive in Australia. And this detection was done by ASIO, the Australian Security Service. And I now wonder, Stan and all of you panelists, that have you ever felt that there is somebody spying on you? Somebody standing behind your shoulder? You have yet anyway access to very interesting, very often very important information which could be of use to any foreign spies here.
Eva, I lived in China as a reporter for 10 years. I can tell you I didn't have to wonder.
Yeah, exactly.
They were parked outside my house.
Exactly. Yeah.
George Brandis.
Well, I was as the Attorney General, was the Minister responsible for ASIO, so in my day. So, of course,
Does that mean ASIO was looking over your shoulder?
No. ASIO is terrific. So, but of course, in a position like that, you're very conscious that you are a person of interest to potentially hostile foreign powers. This Russian nest of spies in Australia is, of course, a great historical theme in this country, going back all the way to 1954 and the famous Petrov incident. So, you know, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Pat Conroy.
Well, it's an interesting story, and I certainly feel like when you're in the public gaze, you always have to be careful. And the story about going overseas, it reminds me, when I travel to certain countries, you're not allowed to take your electronics. They give you an old Nokia, sorry for the product placement, which is good because I like to play the snake game. So it's good. So you're not allowed on any of your electronic devices. You take a Nokia, you make your phone calls. When you come back to the country, they have a very high-tech solution to get rid of it. They hit it with a hammer. It's just wasted. So you have to be careful as a minister or a member of parliament because it's ultimately the nation's secrets that you're guarding, not your own.
Sarah, in the United States as well, do you feel as if you're sometimes, someone might be watching you, looking over your shoulder? Are there any precautions that you might take just in case?
Well, I'm not hiding anything. So, but I think what is oftentimes really jarring is you will think about something and maybe even have a conversation. Your phone might not even be around. And then you get the advertisement for whatever.
Is your phone listening to you?
Yes, right. And so I don't know if foreign powers are spying on me, but corporations trying to sell me things seem to be spying on me. I think that this question, though, really reinforces something that I think is one of the greatest public policy questions that we're facing right now, which is an unregulated internet is a much easier internet where you can spy on people. And the lack of meaningful regulation of the internet, the fact that it's essentially a wild, wild west, opens it up to significant abuse, whether we're talking about private actors or foreign powers.
Ambassador, what precautions do you take right now? Because, we can have a laugh about some of the things, but of course, in the situation that you're in, you must be very conscious.
Yeah, absolutely. I take my personal safety and security very seriously, especially in the role that I am. But generally, spycraft has changed with the technology. And in today's world, we see how technology could be used for a good purpose, could be used for a bad purpose, for different ways. But I think what's important, we see a lot of that increasing activity of this malign foreign influence, where actually countries like Russia can undermine democracy. They know how to do it. They exploit your weaknesses. They know how to use freedom of speech to push their narratives and to push their propaganda. They can undermine, they can hack your Medicom system and release private information on people. They can hack your telecommunications. And this cybersecurity and cyber threats are big, but it could be, very pernicious impact of how you could be undermined through that malign foreign influence, and how Russia's actually doing it.
Sharan.
But it's not just Russia. I mean, I think all nations use the technology, and before the technology, I mean, for those of us who are old enough to have been anti-Vietnam War activists, I think ASIO had files on many of us. You can't have been...
So you expect they had one on you?
Oh, sure. Although I was very young in those days, so maybe I escaped the worst of it. But as the leader of the global labour movement, I can tell you surveillance is everywhere. Like, you don't go into a country and fight for human and labour rights, fight for people and justice and freedom, and not be under surveillance. But that's not what I'm worried about. As leaders, we expect that, and you take precautions. You can't escape it. I'm sure most of us have had attacks over time. I certainly have. But I'm worried about the level of surveillance on people. We can make jokes now about ASIO, but Sarah's point about corporations is humorous at one level, but it's insidious. For workers in workplace, the level of surveillance equals oppression. So we need brave politicians to actually legislate. I'm not sure about the internet. Sarah could have a debate about how to regulate that, because I think corporate interests are right in there. But nevertheless, we do need to make sure that people still have some privacy that they can actually depend on.